Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's bullshit, but we can't take no chances. Gfanatic 94 is not giving any of those communist cunts at YouTube the chance to fuck him over. So unfortunately, if you're under the age of 18, you gotta get out of here. Don't worry. We're gonna fight this war. But we need an army to do so.
Well, not that this is saying much, but it's definitely an improvement over the last movie. It's just, kinda underwhelming. Alrighty, Noah. Here we are, sir. Are you ready to cover the last of the Godzilla anime trilogy?
Yes, I am, man. Boy, has this been a difficult topic, one could say.
Yeah. First things first, we obviously gotta say this. Major improvement from the last movie. Not that that's saying much. But yeah, today, ladies and gentlemen, we take a look at the third and final entry in the Godzilla anime trilogy made specifically for Netflix, called Godzilla the Planet Eater. I'm gonna be real honest. I don't really think this is a bad movie, but I do think they make some very bad decisions. So without further ado, Noah, let's jump right into this. Do you want to list the cast, or do you want me to?
Seeing as how this is basically almost the exact same, except for I think a few new ones maybe. Yeah, I think I see some new ones. How about you try and say the Japanese names?
Alright.
It's good practice, one could say.
Well, considering this is the last Japanese produced thing we're gonna see for the next two reviews, I'll give it a shot. Alright.
It's still something.
Alright, so we got Mamoru Miyano as Haruo Sakaki. We got Takahiro Sakurai as Midpheus. We have Kana Hanazawa as Yuko Tani. Tomokazu Sugita as Martin Lazari. And we have Yuki Kaji as Bindwald. Adamu Bindbarado. We have Raina Ueda as Maina. We have Ari Ozawa as Miyana. And we have Daisuke Ono as Elliot Leyland. Alright, then we have Kenyu Horiuchi as Umberto Mori. Okay, we have Kazuya Nakai as Haru Doludo. There's those names that you had trouble with, Noah. We have Kazuhiro Yamai as... Oh, he plays two different characters, Endorphin and Manaku. And then we have Sayori Hayami as Haruka Sakaki, Haruo's mom, I guess, in that flashback. Yeah, and then we have... Oh no, his dad, I think. We have Kenichi Suzumura as Akira Sakaki. We have Haruki Ishiya as Josh Anderson. We have Junichi Yanagita as Marco Gione. We have Kanehiro Yamamoto as Takeshi J. Hamamoto. Okay. Tomisaburo Horikoshi as Daichi Tani. We have Junichi Suwabe as Mulu Elu Galugu. And Kenta Miyaki as Rilu Elu Belube. So it's the same two villains from the last one.
And yeah, Noah, which do you want to cover first? The human action or the monster action? Obviously, we're going to be covering the brief rundown first, but after that.
Yeah, but I actually want to get to the human part because there's a certain scene I'd like to talk about.
So the brief rundown of this film. Alright. After the battle in Mechagodzilla City, Godzilla once again slumbers, presumably to heal after the battle. During his sleep, Midpheus of the Exif aliens decides now is the time to call upon his people's god, whom they call Ghidorah. After gaining enough people in his circle of trust, basically creating a cult, Medphius is successful in his summoning of the Golden Demon. Now the people who have spent their entire mission fighting Godzilla must assist Godzilla in this battle against the monster from beyond this universe. Can Ghidorah be defeated, or will planet Earth perish?
Find out right now.
Alrighty. And as Noah said earlier, we're going to go ahead and talk about the human action first. Noah, do you want to take it from here?
Well, no, not yet.
Okay. Well, first things first. The human action in this film, it's actually not bad. Obviously, they didn't spend as much time writing and getting to the human aspect as much as they did in the last film, because the last movie was almost exclusively the human aspect. But in this one, thank God they actually show more than 6 minutes of monster action. And we'll be talking about that in a
Yes.
minute. But the human aspect of this film is actually cleverly written, even if the majority of the cast is literally just assigned to sit from the sidelines and just watch Godzilla and Ghidorah in their quote-unquote battle.
Which is fine, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Completely
What?
fine. In my opinion, that's completely fine, because I came here to watch Godzilla, not humans!
Yeah. At the same time, though, that is, the monster aspect of this film, as we'll discuss in a minute, is not that good. But as for the human aspect, pretty much the same thing as the first one. Every single character here does have some clever bits of writing, and the story of Medphius and the Exif basically trying to worship their god Ghidorah is actually an interesting aspect that I wish they actually dove into more. But no, instead they just use Medphius and have him try to justify the destruction of Earth to Haruo the whole time, and they don't delve any deeper into the lore. Which ultimately, that's not a bad decision, it's just disappointing that we don't get to see more of it. And Haruo himself, I mean, he is the main protagonist, but dude, he is written by far the worst out of everyone in this movie. And the reason I say that is because of what happens at the end. And we'll get to that in a second. But Noah, is there anything you want to say about the human action?
Fucking sex!
Yep. I'm not gonna show it, because, obviously I don't want to, piss off the left or anything. But, there is a sex scene in this movie, and this is, I think it's genuinely the first time we've ever seen plowing in a Godzilla film. Interesting decision. I personally don't think that was a good idea, but, whatever. And as for the ending of this movie, we have spent the entirety of this trilogy following Haruo Sakaki as he's trying to find a way to kill Godzilla for, revenge and shit like that. Basically, discount Eren Yeager. And then in this movie, well, he spends the first 10 minutes trying to kill Godzilla. And then apparently Medphius actually, convinced Haruo that humans aren't exactly worthy of having a lot of the gifts that they've been given. So Haruo decides that in order to allow for humanity to have a second chance to coexist with Godzilla instead of going to war with him, that he's going to take his unconscious and half-breathing girlfriend, fly to Godzilla in that last Raven from the last film, and commit suicide. Okay, that is easily the worst thing they could have done with this character. Like, if they were just gonna do that, why not have him die in the battle? That doesn't make any sense.
Anime.
Yeah. Yeah, and, actually, we do kind of have to talk a little bit more about humans in the monster aspect, but this brings us to the monster half of the film. Honestly, the monster action in this movie starts off really well. Yeah, let's talk about Void Ghidorah. Noah, do you have anything to say about Void Ghidorah?
Them some long necks, but worth a fucking bite.
Actually, the body is actually too big to fit through those portals, so...
I know, but I would have liked to see a body. Even though we did get a glimpse of it, I would have liked to see a body.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not faulting you for that, bro. Nobody will. So yeah, Void Ghidorah. Good God, whoever designed this thing, I mean, A for effort. And honestly, you kind of deserve a freaking award for this thing. Yeah, Void Ghidorah is easily one of the most interesting Ghidorah designs we've ever seen. First of all, he's huge, and he is big enough to reach all three of his heads through these, like, portals in the sky. And just his heads, and we didn't even see the full length of his heads, but just his heads are long enough to stretch for miles and surround Godzilla in a golden freaking, like, hue. And not only that, but, Void Ghidorah also, apparently can open up different portals in different locations and attack different, targets at the same time. However, obviously, the majority of these heads are, like, basically all three of his heads after, he destroys the Eratrum. All three of them focus on the most powerful life form on the planet, which is Godzilla. And this is where the monster action dies for me. Because literally the fight starts off kind of cool, introducing some interesting powers for Ghidorah. Seeing as how he is basically not of this universe, Ghidorah can, go down to the ground and, well, not go down to the ground, but he can lower his head, and when Godzilla attacks and uses his atomic breath, well, seeing as how Ghidorah doesn't follow the laws of this, universe, well, Godzilla's atomic breath curves around and avoids Ghidorah. So, yeah. How the hell is Godzilla gonna fight this thing? Surely he can walk up to it and get into a melee combat sort of scenario with this thing, right? Nope. Because his heads are basically able to, phase in and out of reality at Ghidorah's will.
Basic power of which I can hit you, but you can't hit me.
Basically, yeah. And honestly, I think that's one of the scarier aspects of Ghidorah in this movie. But then at that point, it just loses its momentum, because it was a solid start to the battle, but then once it's established that Godzilla can't really attack back, well, the rest of the fight is literally just Ghidorah as he swirls around Godzilla and bites down on Godzilla with his other two heads. And then the rest of the fight is literally just Godzilla sitting there while Ghidorah bites him and electricity surges around him while nothing happens. And there was one point when Ghidorah lifted Godzilla into the air, but that was the only real change of pace in this battle until the end of the fight. And it's like, You sat here and you, built up this incredible threat, and you are trying to have this epic finale to your anime trilogy, and it's like, this is your end game? Like, what the fuck? However, that brings us to how Void Ghidorah is defeated. Well, you see, Void Ghidorah, Mephius, using his satanic sort of cult, not only summoned Ghidorah, but there's a little chip that he has to use to sort of allow Ghidorah to see into this reality and allow him to enter. And by the way,
While
he
still
does,
bringing his own,
what?
while still bringing his own laws of his universe into this dimension
Yeah.
to basically king above all, one could say.
Yeah. And yeah, when he does that, he basically sits there and he plucks out his eye for some reason, and he puts the chip that is allowing Ghidorah to enter this universe into his eye. However,
I
this also
actually,
what?
I'm pretty sure that the chip was in his eye. He was just taking out his eye out to reveal it.
Oh, okay. That makes
I'm pretty
sense.
sure doing the other one wouldn't be beneficial.
Fair enough.
Having some Naruto kind of eye shit going on.
And yeah, however, this comes with a very detrimental weakness to Ghidorah. You see, that chip, if it breaks, well, Ghidorah is subject to the laws of the reality he's in and has to slowly start receding back to his own dimension. And for such an important piece of Ghidorah's power, it's strangely fragile. As Haruo Sagaki is able to use his hands and with his bare hands crush it with his thumb. Intriguing idea, executed poorly. And then at that point, it's the easiest thing in the world for Godzilla to just brush freaking Void Ghidorah off and just obliterate Void Ghidorah's freaking heads.
Yeah, once he actually was able to get a hold of it, he's like, "Fuck you, this is my fucking planet."
Yeah. And I'm gonna be real honest, bro. Nope, we're gonna cover that in the controversy section. Ultimately, Void Ghidorah was a really cool design for the character, but they couldn't have given us just a little bit of, gravity beams? Like, just a little bit?
And also, it would have been so cool if we actually got to see his whole body, because, eh.
Uh-huh, yep. That's, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Freaking full-ass form. I'm not gonna lie, man. It looks like it would be something straight out of, like, the Bible or some shit. Like, it looks ethereal.
The Bible.
But yeah, and that brings us to the controversy section. Once again, I am going to bring up this controversial topic like I did in the first Godzilla Planet of the Monsters film. I am heavily going to call into question the power of Void Ghidorah and Godzilla Earth. As I already said, I highly doubt that Godzilla Earth is the strongest Godzilla there is, because size does not make the kaiju. And as I've already called into question Godzilla, well, obviously I'm going to call into question Void Ghidorah's power, because basically as soon as he's subject to this, to the laws of our reality, Godzilla dispatches him in under a minute.
Anime logic, am I right?
Yeah, yeah, anime logic. Just always go with anime logic. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, just because these things are big and just because these things have weird powers doesn't mean that they're the strongest versions of the characters yet. Me personally, I think Void Ghidorah is one of the weakest versions of Ghidorah we've seen yet, with interesting powers, but detrimental weaknesses. That being said, though, Noah, with all that out of the way, who would you recommend this film to? Unless there's something else you want to talk about before we go.
Well, I am gonna say this. There is a very well animated video of Godzilla Earth versus Void, and god damn, that shit looks amazing.
Uh-huh.
That's literally the fight I wanted to see in the movie.
Yeah, not whatever the hell this was. And honestly, that's the worst part about the anime trilogy, is that there are fan films out there made by people on YouTube that are better than this trilogy as a whole. And it's like, you couldn't have done this? Like, at all? Not even giving us just a tiny little speck? No? People on YouTube had to do it? Yeah, it's just a little sad to think about. That being said, though, Noah, that's really all there is to talk about this film, without going too deep into detail. So yeah, yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not really, actually. No.
Okay. Well, who would you recommend this film to, audience-wise, Noah?
Teenagers and above. Sex.
Yeah, but yeah. All that aside, honestly, this film, I mean, it's an interesting one, but I feel as though it lacks in the areas that count. However, yeah, that's all I gotta say about this one. Yeah, Noah, I'm gonna be honest, man, in terms of people I would recommend this film to, it's a mixed package. First of all, as Noah said, yeah, no kids, who have not been subjected to, stuff like, intercourse and shit like that before. And if you do have kids that have been subjected to intercourse, find who did it and have them arrested. But honestly, bro, I'm gonna go ahead and say that, in terms of people I would recommend this film to, I'm gonna go ahead and say Godzilla fans. But I'm also gonna say not sci-fi fans at all, dude. Sci-fi fans are just the sci-fi fans are gonna like be really bored. And in fact, like, this is the first time I've ever seen a movie with Ghidorah in it that genuinely made me take a nap. And it's like, yeah, that's just sad. However, yeah, other than Godzilla fans, I would recommend this film to fans of like extraterrestrial and intergalactic travel. Uh Mainly just because of how alien and weird King Ghidorah feels. But other than that, bro, I can't really find it. I can't really find a good reason to recommend this to anyone else. And that's really sad because what they did with this film, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't up to standards. So yeah, Noah, that was Godzilla the Planet Eater. And what do you got to say about it in the final moments?
Good idea. Horrible execution.
Yeah. And that's the biggest problem with the freaking anime trilogy. They have a bunch of great ideas, but didn't capitalize on them. However, tomorrow we take a look at a film that is far superior to this one. Ladies and gentlemen, join us tomorrow as we look at the next installment in the Monsterverse, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And this one, Ghidorah is back and in his full glory.
Dun,
See you tomorrow, ladies
dun,
and gentlemen.
dun, dun, dun.
幻だとでも言うのか。
Alright, y'all know the drill. Like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Y'all want more videos, right? More kick-ass shit? Well, good, because I want more views. Let's help each other on this.